your parking.
7 o'clock, we call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. How do you driveway down to your house? All board. Yeah, then big service. What is big service?
Okay. Get the motion to accept the minutes of October 3rd.
So move. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Get a motion to accept the financial report and payment of the bills.
So move. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Any no budget amendments?
No, not tonight.
Okay. Okay. Jeannie? This is a public hearing on a grant, CBG grant. Go ahead.
About a week or so ago, the mayor was notified that there was approximately $2.5 million of CDBG, which stands for Community Development Block Grant funds available for community development projects and activities. The funds are targeted to applicants that are seeking funds for projects that are ready to proceed. They are going to be reviewed on a first-come, first-served basis until funding is exhausted. They began accepting the applications Monday. However, there was a requirement that you had to have a public hearing on the application, and it had to be at a regular meeting. So if this application is approved tonight, I will be hand delivering it tomorrow to the state. There's a limitation of $800,000 per application, and what we have ready to proceed at this point in time with is a water tower rehabilitation to the Bell Hill water tower on the northeast side of town. The resolution reads, a resolution of the mayor and commissioners of the town of Elkton approving the application submission to the State of Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development for Community Development Block Grant funds to support the Bell Hill Water Tower Rehabilitation Project. Before I continue on this, we had the tank inspected in the summer, this past summer, and there was a cost estimate associated with repairs on the tank. And KCI had given us a cost estimate based on the Davis Bacon wage rates, which is something that's required for CDBG funding. So the amount of funding that we will be requesting for the tower is $589,000. The town is responsible for 25% of the total project, so there's another 25% on top of that the town will be incurring costs with respect to engineering, some construction, and project administration.
Is that more than the other tanks we've repaired, or less?
It is more.
It's more?
It's about a couple $100,000 more. And this is a cost estimate. A lot of times when the bids have come in for both of the previous water tanks, they were much less than the anticipated cost estimate. Whereas the state of Maryland, by its Department of Housing and Community Development, has solicited applications from eligible jurisdictions of the state to apply for funds under the Maryland Community Development Block Grant CDBG program. And whereas the town of Elkton is eligible to apply for funding under the aforementioned program through the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. And whereas the mayor and commissioners have identified the need to rehabilitate the Bell Hill Water Tower located at 311 Bell Hill Road, here and after the project, which has been described in more detail in the application. And whereas a public hearing related to the application under the CDBG program was held on Wednesday, October 17, 2012 at 7 p.m. at the Elkton Municipal Building, Council Meeting Room, 100 Railroad Avenue, Elkton, Maryland. Now therefore, the mayor and commissioners of the town of Elkton hereby resolve the following: that the application be submitted to the State of Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development for funding assistance in the amount of $589,000.00 under the Maryland Community Development Block Grant Program for the project, and that Mayor Joseph Elkton shall hereby be authorized and empowered to execute any and all documents required for the submission of said application.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak against this project? Anybody wishing to speak for this project? Okay, this public hearing is now closed. Okay, can we get a motion to accept the resolution?
2012.
Okay,
I make motion to accept the resolution 9.
do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
He's gonna take that down to DHCD tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Good. Okay, there, Lewis.
First item I have is the Elkton Rec and Community Center. The board has discussed the workshop and the proposal submitted by the Park Design Group on July 10th, 2012 to provide architectural services for the proposed Elkton Recreation Community Center. Now, pursuant to their proposal, they have outlined a scope of services to include the schematic design for a cost of $36,000, design development for $42,600, contract documents $74,575, bidding and negotiation fees $9,700, construction administration $35,625, for a total fee of estimated fee of $198,500. The proposal was submitted to the board and it passed and held in advance, and it's presented tonight for the board's consideration.
Would you repeat those fees again? The cost items and
Yeah.
total?
There's the schematic design, initial design of the project, $36,000. The design development is $42,600. Contract documents, $74,575. Bidding and negotiation, $9,700. Construction administration, $35,625, for a total fee of $198,500.
You make for a motion?
Had a retainer of $20,000
Okay.
on there too. We receive required initial retainer of $20,000. Balance of the fee will be invoiced as work progresses. So, okay. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I do. I feel that we got a memo from Steve, financial director, and I have some concerns of the to the expense of this thing and how we're going to actually afford the debt service on the building, the maintenance, and then the equipment. If we don't have the money, we're going to have to do one other thing. And I don't know if nobody's going to like doing that or not. Because he's saying we're required to significantly increase our real property tax. I don't know if anybody really gave that a thought of where we're going to, I mean, it's good to get the money now and go for it, but once we make that commitment, then we're committed to building this thing and going all the way. So,
I think we're committed to building anyway. It's almost 4 years ago.
well, it's still, the money is the problem, is what I'm concerned about. So,
I guess I want, if I could add in some discussion as well. The fees for the initial design, that was about 40 or 60, 60,000. And that was like the one 6 years ago. Is that included in this one in this 198?
No.
Okay.
This is all just starting from scratch. The diagram up there shows the initial project from 2006, I believe, was 40,000 square feet.
Right.
We had subsequently recently met with Mr. Clark and his design team, and he had reduced that to approximately 20,000 square foot. I think it's 18,500 in that diagram.
Right.
So initially, I'm sure if the board agrees to utilize the services, people come up with some design objectives and then meet with the board to discuss what they are. You're just going to just start making a design, you can discuss it with the board.
I understand. I wanted to just kind of wrap myself around what we have invested in this process thus far. At the beginning, my concern was a money issue, I guess as well as the mayor's. Even as a town employee 6 years ago, I understood this particular subject, having a community center / recreation center, to be a sense of urgency as far as our community needs and our kids' needs. I still think it's a very urgent matter, very urgent situation. However, I'm kind of like in the sense of the mayor. I don't think it would be good advice for us to have to borrow in order and maybe possibly, most likely, raise taxes in some form of having some extra revenue in order to pay for this. It just doesn't make sense to get something to benefit the community and cause the community to go into further debt or into some type of debt. My original thoughts was to start in some type of plan where we could scale this to a point where we do it in phases, something that we could afford, and then as time came about, even in the process of different grants and things like that, and I know they're not plentiful right now, but that would give us the opportunity down the road to add to this project to fulfill the community needs. Again, I feel it's very urgent that we do something, but I just don't feel the timing is good as opposed to 6 years ago or 5 years ago for us to go down the road of what it looks like is going to put us into debt, even though we put $1 million or so aside. And I was in favor for that. But things have changed and it's pretty tight. So, I have to vote nay on this.
All right. Well, let's go. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
I never got a chance to talk
All right. Well,
before you voted.
okay. Go ahead.
It ends up in the tie. We've been talking about this forever and a day, and there should have been some way that this should have been progressively designed for us to at least start this building and get it going. We put that $1.5 million away for this building, and there was never any discussion about it till tonight. I know certainly you've got to pay for it some way, and I know certainly next year's election year, and always election year we start talking about taxes. Certainly with the economy and the way things up, what is it to warrant to say the taxes don't go up? Talking with Steve today, he said money is tight. So what's the issue? How come Steve didn't present this, Mayor? Along the route to this point, we never discussed, what it costs to actually put the building up, to pay for the building, and how you're going to operate the card. I could have been one of them saying, no, I don't want it done either. But why now when you're getting ready to vote on it? You don't have to answer the question. It's just a question mark. Why? So it's 2-2, and I guess we got a stalemate.
And I have my comment to make. The first thing, we brought this design, which Mr. Clark is here. We downscaled and done everything we thought we was doing to get it within our scope of what we wanted. We included Mary into not once but twice into a work session. Should discuss this at the work session about not being able to afford it. We wouldn't even have to have Mr. Clark here tonight. Well, I brought this up not against Mr. Clark and his company, but I wanted to know if we was getting a fair price, and that delayed things. But that turned a little bit on a sour note because I asked a question. It wasn't directed to the company. It's just that I don't know prices. Now, with that design that we already paid for, we had the decency, or some of us did, because I didn't go, to go all these different recreation centers and visit them. And then here, the price that we thought we had boosted up to this real pretty little building that somebody else had in their town that they could afford. All we wanted was a recreation center here in the town of Elkton for the kids that now we're talking about 6 years ago. Now they're going to be 12 the next time we go to vote on this again, probably. And then those kids didn't get a chance to work in a recreation center or get the use of the building. The bottom line was the town of Elkton needs a recreation center. We looked outside of here to the YMCA. We tried to work out something there. We all voted, well, let's go with what Mary decides. Mary wants a recreation center. Now we're in here saying we don't want it. I don't understand how that happened, just like Mr. Gibbons. It's like one says one thing and the other does the other. We can't come to a conclusion or a census on what we want because we don't have any idea, but yet we have facts on the table. Mr. Clark, I appreciate you coming in here, and I'm hoping that this project was going to go through. Nothing negative towards the design of Clark's design. Nothing personally. The thing is, I wanted to know numbers. When it comes time to hear numbers, we don't get the numbers, the facts that we want, we got to guess at it. So that's the reason why all this was being delayed. This should have already been done years ago. I've been on the board going 3 terms, and when I got on the board, I wanted a recreation center, and we worked on that. So we earmarked 1.5 million. Where's that money going to go now? Another 5 or 6 years? The question, like Ms. Gibbons said, you don't have to answer now, but where is the money going to go now? $1.5 million. The thing is, when you start the building, hopefully we were going to look at grant money, we were going to get, and then we can decide that as it goes. Not really sit there and say, well, we don't have the money now, let's put this off again, and then a new board comes in, we never get it. That's the fact I want to make. I asked to have you come in here, Mr. Clark, because I thought we was going through with this project. And I asked Mary several times, I said, what do you want? You're the one running the recreation center. Do you want the kids in the rain every time it rains and then squeeze them up in a little building? Or no, we're going to wait another 6 years and see if we can squeeze them in another room. This building, hopefully it's going to be, or it has already been outgrown. And now we've talked about the police department, and all of a sudden, here we go, we're stopping on one, we're going to work on another. How are you going to work on 2 things when you can't get one thing done? That's the point I want to make.
All right.
And another thing, we're going to vote on this tonight without Mary Jo here. That could have been another deciding vote. I mean, it's funny that now we can split a vote and be done with it. Maybe we need to earmark this and move it off for another week or 2.
Well, we voted already.
That's a comment.
Okay.
Mayor, I haven't heard any comments from you.
Well, I dealt with my comments. I'm leery of the cost and the debt service and everything else on it. And as the chief financial officer of this town and watching the money, it's going to cost us a significant increase.
And certainly, I'm not attacking you from this point, but if you were a financial leader of the town, you in charge of the town, don't you think somebody on this staff should have been providing us with concurrent or updates as far as the money goes? Talking to Steve today, that's the first thing he was saying. I don't know where we're going to get the money. Sometimes I just wonder if there's some collusion. May not be, but I just wonder.
No, we all should be wondering where we were going to get the money. We had the 1.5.
And going back to Earl's point, does her kids have to suffer in the heat for how many more years? You know, we keep talking about that, and for some reason we're not getting to that point. And I wrote the same thing Earl wrote, talked about busting out at the seams there, because the chief said at our workshop, pretty soon they're going to need another place. So what to do? We have to wait for that to happen. Public Works, the same thing. When do we forge ahead with something? When can the taxpayer say, I'm getting something from $1, other than trash service and other which they're paying? I mean, that's just some thought.
I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
I guess, but what bothers me is we take one step, then we go to the next meeting, and then we get surprised with new information. You know, like, okay, now we're going to talk to the why. Now, all of these different things come up as surprises to the board. And again, the cost, and I'm trying to put this in the right way, the cost of that facility has got to be apparent to this entire board, as well as our citizens and our staff, that is an expensive undertaking. And times have changed. That's just the bottom line. Now, I am for it. It's been a sense of urgency since I've been here. We have got to reevaluate this, and I think we should move forward. We're not going to put this off and put a community center / recreation center off because there's a need for it. and bringing up what the police department needs and the Department of Public Works needs. Those are long-term goals, and that's certainly something that we will be reviewing. But we're not reviewing that over a sense of urgency for park and recreation.
Not true. So same thing. I am not against it. Everybody knows I tried to get a recreational center in here numerous times, and I too got kind of shot down, more or less. And I tried to get that done.
And
But now,
there was never any surprises about the YMCA. I went to the YMCA and had a discussion with them along with Earl, and it was not a surprise. Our consideration was for the young lady with her program. You know, we're going to be some time building this, but in the meantime, she has no place to go. We talked about the weather and other conditions that's not favorable, so maybe we can come up with something in the meantime to give her some help or place to go. That was the purpose. It was no surprise. It was not demeaning for anything that we're doing right here and talking about now.
It's a surprise to bring it up at that level as we're going, and without any type of plan.
But that plan has nothing to do with the building you're talking about.
It absolutely does. We had the workshop. She didn't even know whether we were planning on going forward.
Who?
We had the workshop. We were there.
Listen to what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
The program that we wanted her to engage with in the Y had nothing to do with the building. The purpose of that was to give her access to at least a place where she can house her kids or to meet with her kids in the meantime while we erect this building. Once the building was erected, if so, then she could say goodbye to them and she's in her building, the Y got their building.
Makes sense to me. You brought it up at the workshop. You brought it up at the town meeting.
No, that was brought up before that.
No, that's what I'm saying. At the town meeting, you brought it up as a surprise.
What's your point?
The point is, it was a surprise to the process. And by the way, this is the same,
with the building?
because you repeated the same thing you did as I was an employee. You did the same thing and you got the same result. Okay? You talked to the Y 5-6 years ago, and we didn't learn anything from that process. We got to the same point. You're talking about fees. You're talking about you didn't do any type of planning, any type of investigative work, and we brought her. We brought her to a meeting, and she didn't know what direction the board was going in.
We're talking programs, and we're talking a building. They're separate issues.
I'm just giving you the facts. Okay? You were at the workshop, and she outright asked you, "What are we going to do?"
I think fine.
You explained to me.
Next thing we need to do, we're trying to find out, get some, if we can, get some kind of cost estimates somehow, some way on what a building would be and maybe what the operational costs would be to give us a better, clearer figure to what the debt services would be on a building this size.
We tried that twice.
That's what we need to nail down.
Saying the same thing.
We tried this before you went to look at these other buildings. Then we changed it. Mr. Clark again drew it up what we wanted. This is the plan that you're talking about, Commissioner Hicks. We had a plan. The plan was drawn up by Mr. Clark, what we wanted and what was going to take it out, the different size of the gym. We wanted a walk track, but we didn't do that. That's part of the plan, but we didn't do that.
That's right.
Now the thing is, we didn't have a place. We picked the Elk Landing site. Well, how did that come about? We didn't have a plan.
Because
Mr. Lewis, Mr. Lewis went out and he was trying to get the engineers.
You talked to some other person,
Chuck,
okay?
I'm still talking.
Chuck,
Mr. George went and got the engineer, and he halted that because we talked about a work session. We talked the work session, and all that stuff was planned. Now we're right back again. We're going to take a cost analysis and figure out what this going to. You guys already had this plan before you come in here this meeting. So I just want to make that point known.
And all this is an outgrowth of when Jeannie and I will visit the place in Wycomico County. That's how we got this plan going. Way back when.
Since we've talked about this process, we've dealt with several different buildings, several different situations, and nonetheless, I think we have gone forward. Definitely since 6 years ago. However, you have to take a look. You can't put the cart before the horse. We're about to go $200,000 more into the cost and keeping the ball going. And pretty soon, you're going to get to the point where the ball has to continue to go, and we don't even know how much it's going to cost to keep it going.
It's almost like a time clock, isn't
The time clock situation. I think.
it? Yeah, okay,
I think that's totally
okay,
different.
that's
But
another point I would
we're
like to
dealing
make.
with this
But I know
process.
that we're talking about one thing,
Well, I was
we're
telling
talking
you
about
about
money wasted.
program.
That's something the mayor wants, so we get the time clock, huh? We just leave that alone, because y'all get me
No.
thrown off the subject.
All right, are we done? Okay, Louis, next item.
One of the things I'd like to make a comment, if I'm permitted to do so.
Before Lois move on, are we done with what we just got finished discussing? This table?
Well, he wants to discuss something, say something.
I just wanted to comment that the board did not vote not to go forward with the project. It only voted not to accept Mr. Clark's or Clark Design Group's proposal to do that design of the building. If the board wanted to meet and discuss a more scaled down, affordable type of project, I'm sure the Clark Design Group would accommodate your needs. So I don't think you voted down doing this project. I think you just voted down the proposal to do that particular project.
Thank you, Louis.
You may have an opportunity here, since you all have a consensus that we do need the project, to come into a more affordable, phased-in type of situation.
Did we not discuss that phase in at the last workshop? And I thought, and I could be wrong, and if I am, I stand to be corrected, that we didn't want a phase in type?
I think the advice from Mr. Hanley, who has a lot of experience in construction, commented that it could be very expensive
Right.
to do it that way rather than one. But I don't know what the alternative would be here, would be to look at a more scaled-down version. A good example is Commissioner Gibbons and I had an opportunity today to look at the compost building at the wastewater treatment plant, obviously not suitable for this, but the structure of that building would accommodate certain sporting events in a smaller scale. That's a huge building, but a smaller scale of that type of building that's more, accommodate, human occupancy would be maybe a way of doing it with the amount of money that you have available without borrowing money or raising taxes or anything else. There will be a component of operating expense, but it wouldn't be a companion to debt service in a case like that. And I think that if you look sincerely and earnestly at a project that was affordable, I think you'd have public support for it. I think you really would, because it is a need.
And I'm glad you said that. So I'm a piggyback to you and say, what's affordable?
Oh, that's the
So
problem.
you have,
I'm talking to him, and I have kept what I'm saying, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
you
sir.
have money that you allocated, as Commissioner Kleiner stated, for this project. If you try to operate within that budget in terms of capital expense, you may be able to do something.
And going back with that same statement, which is affordable, and I'm glad you gave an answer, would what's affordable be acceptable with what she wants to do as far as the programs that she has for her kids? Or would she still have to rely on going to external sources like the schools and other places to have uses of them?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably, she would have a better, more intimate knowledge of what she needs than I do.
Oh, we just need to regroup on this again.
Well, I think regrouping is a step forward, because you don't leave the meeting thinking that you're not going to do a project. I just think you need to regroup and look at it a little differently, that's all.
Okay.
Next item I have is the policy entitled Age Anti-Discrimination Policy for Adoption. We prepared an age anti-discrimination policy pursuant to the consent order. This complies with both the Federal Age Discrimination Employment Act of 1967 and the Maryland Fair Employment Practices Act. It's been reviewed by council, White Preston, and has been submitted to the EEOC and approved. I recommend that the town adopt the age anti-discrimination policy.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the policy?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Will that policy be a part of what's current now in human resources in any way?
will be integrated in everything we do, from applications, recruitment process to
I guess what I'm saying, will that override what you currently have, or will that be a part of?
part of.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Last item I have is the Artesian Third Amendment. The board is well aware that Artesian Water Maryland submitted a proposed Third Amendment some time ago. Of course, we've been through a number of machinations over the policy to come to a tentative conclusion, not conclusion in the sense that I recommended, but a conclusion in terms of what we have before us at this time. I'm going to highlight some of the provisions under the current draft that we finalized or semi-finalized. Under this amendment, Artesian agrees to reduce the take-or-pay provision from 375,000 gallons a day to 250,000 gallons a day. Current rate we pay Artesian is $4.08 per 1,000 gallons. We bill monthly. Monthly bill of 375,000 gallons per day is $45,900. Obviously, there are variations to this because we might use more water than that during high turbid events, and there's also a customer charge added to that. The reduction of the take-or-pay on an ideal basis, that means strictly on that account, will result in a reduction of $183,600 annually to the town's take-or-pay obligation to Artesian. Artesian agrees to, and as has in the past, agrees to reserve 1.5 million gallons a day with 7 days business notice. They will provide enough water in the event that our water treatment plant was unoperational or the raw water was compromised in some way, but we would have adequate water through this interconnection agreement. Artesian seeks to purchase an undefined amount of water via an interconnection at the 12-inch water line near the YMCA, and they want to pay $4.08 plus 20% on that at 4.896. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. Versus the out-of-town rate that's currently charged. The town provided in 1989 a resolution for the sale of up to 8,000 gallons a day through that to a 4-inch line. Currently, it runs down to Route 7 and Route 40. There's a number of contaminated wells, and since that time, there was one or two properties added, along with the state highway maintenance project. But we provide about 8,000 gallons a day, give or take a few gallons, or 720,000 gallons per quarter. We billed the county out-of-town rate until recently when Artesian acquired the water assets from Cecil County, and we currently bill Artesian water for that through that interconnect. Artesian seeks to purchase 50,000 gallons per day via an interconnection on Bell Hill Road. They will use this water for probably, how they're going to use it, I don't know, but we're going to use it for distribution at least to the Bell Hill LLC property and the Bell Hill Manor properties. Probably, as those properties are fully developed, the 50,000 gallons will close to that, they'll need that water. Artesian, according to this proposal, agrees to construct and maintain a metered interconnection on Dixie Line Road. The town can connect to that. The town will be responsible for pay all the connections to it, but they wouldn't charge us for the interconnection itself. The water would be metered at the same rate that we pay the interconnection rate. My recommendations is the take-or-pay from 375 should reduce 150,000 gallons a day, which would be a cost savings of $330,480 for the town. The amount of water through any connection suiting Route 7 and Route 40 properties that currently exist would be limited to the current 8,000 gallons a day or 720,000 gallons per quarter purchased at the existing out-of-town rate. The town would provide for wheeling water through an improved interconnection on the town's 12-inch water line on Bell Hill Road at the interconnection rate of 4.08 plus the 20%, which was 896. And that would be contingent on a favorable legal opinion by council. The town's doesn't have an ordinance that provides for wheeling water. So if we could sell water to Artesian through a wheeling process and it was legal under a special contract, then I would recommend that in that particular location, we could do that. If it's not legal, then we won't do it.
Okay.
The board has a choice. It's to either accept the proposal as submitted by Artesian, or they can accept my recommendations, or however they want to act in the matter.
All right, again, do I have a motion to accept the Artesian agreement?
You just gave a proposal, right?
You want to accept the?
Well, I'm asking them if they wanted to.
Okay.
No, I mean, okay.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the town administrator
Okay, all
until
right.
further notice.
Wait a minute, there's a motion on the table.
Well, he's making a motion.
That is the motion.
That's his
It's two.
motion.
Accept theirs, accept his.
Okay, we got two motions on the table.
No, there's not a motion on the table. A
No.
choice has been given.
Yes,
And what I'm saying right now is that I'm thinking his.
yes, the motion from Lewis.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
that's what you were saying too, I think.
No, yeah, I just want to make sure it wasn't what the mayor said.
Right.
Artesian. Okay.
That's what he said, what his recommendation.
I second the recommendation from town
Okay,
administrator.
we have a motion and a second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
What change?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any old business?
All by myself there.
No,
Joe, any old business?
no, I have none.
Any old business? Okay. Halloween this year. We set the date for October 31st in the town of Elkton for 6 to 8. So we get a motion to accept that as our
So
trick or treat night. Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Got an invitation from Northeast for their Christmas parade. Will be held on December 1st, snow date December the 8th at noon on Main Street Northeast. So we're invited to go down there. Also, Lou, we can get Dan, let him know about it, because we always take something down there and put in the parade from us.
So what time is it on December the 1st?
Okay.
December 8th, you said?
December will be held on December 1st. Snow date will be just December the 8th. So just in order to avoid last minute traffic, we suggest you arrive at Town Hall no later than 11:15. Okay. And we're to let them know by November 15th that we may participate with something in the parade. And then some other good news we got, everybody knows that Jeannie was working very diligently on get the sustainable community designation. Well, we received our letter stating that it is a pleasure to inform you that the application for sustainable community designation from the town of Elkton has been approved by the Smart Growth Sub-Cabinet and will be effective for 5 years beginning July 25th, 2012. As a result of this new designation, the town will be eligible to apply for the following resources from the Department of Housing and Community Development. One would be the Community Legacy Program and the Neighborhood Business Works Program. So it gives us an opportunity to probably get some grants from those programs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so very good job on that. I know it's a thing to do. So that's great. Earl, anything?
Yeah, now, I'd like to get a date so that we can sit down and downsize this recreation center. What date are we looking at? So I know what to tell Mary and Mr. Clark.
Next workshop?
Whoa. Okay.
That's,
Oh, the 14th, isn't it?
is that, yep.
Yep. November 14th workshop?
We're coming with a plan, right?
Coming with a plan. We'll look at it. Anything else?
That's it.
Going back to you, Earl, I agree, we need to sit down, but I don't know what kind of plan we have. I think Murray more or less would have a plan of what she wants, that we either approve up or approve down, because I guess with what we have now, I guess if you're going to downsize, then she pretty much will know what she's going to need. unless we're gonna downsize the building, or what? What,
Just a comment. When this was put on the table, we asked for something similar to like Elkton Christian Center. Something was going to be within the $300,000-400,000 range. $1.5 million was put aside, so we thought we can accommodate that building with getting the kids out into shelter. And if it doesn't mean a whole lot of designs, then that's what we were looking for. Number two, it was put on the table. If we're going to do it, we might as well do it right. When we started looking at the big facility, that threw everything to
Right.
the higher end.
Right.
We would like to stay within our budget. $1.5 million, even if it brought just a half of a building, we're still going to get a recreation center built within our budget. It's not going to cost the taxpayers dollars. I'm hoping that can be a plan.
Now I'm for that.
That's good, that's good. No, I think that's where we need to go, exactly.
and an example of that, like I saw Lewis and Steve riding around today, we all end up at the water treatment plant. There's a great big, what you're talking about, Earl, like that, a facility like that. Out there, more of a type of a pole barn thing. If anybody gonna ride around, I can see how big it is. But it's like the place up there to the Christian place. Obviously, she may not get all that she wants, but if you're gonna go within the confines of the money you have available, then that's what it's gonna be. It's not like take it or leave it, but that's what it's gonna be. You may not get the dance room and this, that, and the other, but you get something.
And again, I don't think we're settled. I think we can get to a point where we can add on to it. Just like you buy a house. Your family gets bigger. You may want to add a room or two. I think we can get in that position.
Anything else, Charlie?
No, that's it.
I'd like to ask for a closed session to discuss personnel issues.
Okay, a motion to have a closed meeting to discuss personnel. Do I have a motion? Second?
Before you that, Lewis, did you travel up there to the building up there to the tri-state and look at that building? Or did you not? Lewis, did you travel up there, look at that building, or did you also go up to the Boys and Girls Club?
The one in Newark?
You went someplace,
Yes.
Newark.
but what did that cost?
Somebody wanted us to go look at the one up Newcastle.
Right, up
We
in
went up
there.
They had a swimming pool and everything.
I don't know if that has a pool or not.
Yeah, so they have a Boys and Girls Club in
Right,
there.
right.
Yeah, we went up there. Gene and I and Craig.
You don't remember the cost item for that?
I can call them and find out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, we have a closed meeting, and we will not be reconvening.